real mathematics. You heard me correctly. Applied mathematics, such as calculations that allow one to build bridges, is not real mathematics because it is ugly. Only pure mathematics matters because its utter uselessness allows it to be beautiful. Let me explain. A mathematician, like a painter or a poet, is a maker of patterns. His patterns, like theirs, must be beautiful if they are to last. Greek mathematics is permanent because it's beautiful. It is more permanent even than Greek literature. Archimedes will be remembered when Aeschylus is forgotten. Because languages die, but mathematical ideas do not. Euclid's proof of the existence of an infinity of prime numbers is simple and beautiful. Pythagoras' proof that the square root of 2 is irrational is simple and beautiful. It is important to remark that neither theorem has the slightest practical importance. No engineer need be concerned with prime or irrational numbers. Is not the position of our engineer or applied mathematician then a little pathetic? Imaginary universes are so much more beautiful than the stupidly constructed real one in which they are bound. Oscar Wilde believed in art for art's sake. I believe in mathematics for art's sake, as does every real mathematician.
25 October 1634. A new discovery by me, Pierre de Fermat. If P is a prime number, that is, it can be evenly divided only by itself and 1, and if n is any whole number, then n to the power of p minus n is divisible by p. If this proposition fails to dazzle you, dear listener, then you have the capacity for art of a Paris pigeon's splattering rectum.
Telling the world Aeschylus will disappear into dust, but prime numbers will live forever. Dear boy.
Absolutely. Indivisible numbers will inherit the earth. They're as beautiful as swans and as numerous as ants. Aeschylus, meanwhile, left 7th place more primitive than cockroaches.
It's dangerous for me to be seen with you at Cambridge.
Would it help if I bypassed the classics? If I said mathematics will last longer than Shakespeare?
Of course mathematics will outlast Shakespeare. The vernacular is a passing fad.
Peace, then.
Not so fast. The chicken is dry again.
I forgot to complain last week.
Oh, you forgot. Was there something on your mind more important than the wretched food at high table? Damn it, man, we're not talking about dead Greeks now. We're talking about this college's inedible weekly chicken.
Well, it won't bother him. He's a vegetarian.
Who?
continued fraction, singular moduli, elliptic function.
Enough! Perhaps he copied them.
They employ a very peculiar personal system of notation.
Are they correct?
He supplied no proofs. Some of them I have verified, but some are beyond my power to evaluate.
Beyond your power?
I've been puzzling over them all week. Hence my neglect to write a letter about the chicken.
The life of the mind is an unimpressive excuse, Harold.
Alfred, I wish you could grasp the strangeness of his work. He said he can give meaning to negative values of the gamma function. He said he's found a function that gives the exact number of primes with less than a given number.
Yes.
Those are impossibilities. His ignorance is as great as his knowledge.
So your field has been invaded by a rude, untutored barbarian wildly swinging his axe. How thrilling. How unpleasant. I wish I could advise you, but wild men have never been attracted to the classics.
Nietzsche was attracted to the classics.
We shipped him to modern philosophy, and there, where he couldn't damage anything important.
Alfred, I want to bring Ramanujan here to Cambridge.
Is that wise?
It's essential.
And you think he'll come?
What would stop him?
श्रीपीठे सुरपूजिते शङ्खचक्रगदाहस्ते महालक्ष्मी नमोऽस्तुते नमस्ते गरुडारूढे कोलासुरभयङ्करी सर्वपापहरे देवी महालक्ष्मी नमोऽस्तुते सर्वज्ञे सर्ववरदे सर्वदुष्टभयङ्करी सर्वदुःखहरे देवी महालक्ष्मी नमोऽस्तुते सिद्धिबुद्धिप्रदे देवी भुक्तिमुक्तिप्रदायिनी मन्त्रमूर्ते सदा देवी महालक्ष्मी नमोऽस्तुते
Consort of Narsimha, you have always honored my family. My parents prayed to you when they were childless, and you heard them. My grandmother once spoke to you in a trance. You told her the time would come when you would speak through me to the world, and you have. You have written equations on my tongue. You have given me theorems in dreams. Do you remember when your hand shaped elliptic integrals across a screen made red by flowing blood? You are the household goddess of washerwomen. But you can work the most difficult wonders. I beg of you then, grant my simple request. Suspend the sacred law that a Brahmin may not travel overseas. Allow me to leave India and go to the English mathematician to complete my learning. I am awaiting your imminent sign.
It is impossible to separate the cube into two cubes. It is impossible to separate the cube into two cubes, a fourth power into two fourth powers, or generally any power above the second into two powers of the same degree. I have discovered a truly marvelous proof of this, which this margin is too narrow to contain.
That whatever I achieve in England is for your honor, not mine. Oh, the sign, oh my goddess, I thank you.
I'm here.
It is more than I hoped for.
You wish to leave your
I am dying. I have found a very great number of exceedingly beautiful theorems. I have had some success with ladies. I have served the state as a jurist and once sentenced a heretical priest to be burned at the stake. I died content. I have not left records of the proofs of all my theorems. I see no reason why I should. My word should be sufficient. Monsieur Descartes thinks I'm vain. He said, Monsieur Fermat is from Gascony, while I am not. But it is Descartes who is vain. We invented analytic geometry at the same time, but only I extended it to the third dimension. Descartes remained trapped in 2 dimensions, hence his uncontrollable jealousy. Of all the theorems whose proofs I leave no record of, my favorite is the one I scribbled in the margin of a book. I have quite a breathtaking proof, and I wish to see if other mathematicians can devise it on their own. I have derived much perverse pleasure in my later years from watching their futile efforts. Perhaps whoever reads this after my death will wonder why I did not reveal the proof at the end. There are 2 reasons. One is respect for the sublime mystery of number. The second is respect for the sublime mystery of myself. I desire the future of mathematics to struggle with my riddle. Ah, my Gascon vanity. I die.
I'm Hardy.
Ramanujan, it's a great honor.
I fancy cricket inordinately. The best batsman in the world is a fellow named Jack Hobbs. When you do something really brilliant, I tell you, it's Hobbs class.
Yes, I see. Thank you.
But that's it. I hate introductions. Well, is there anything I should know about you that's not in your theorems?
No.
Good.
Is your family well?
Excellent. I have no wife. My father is a school teacher. My mother is religious.
My mother is also religious.
I'm an atheist.
Oh,
I won't enter a chapel. By the way, I won't look at myself in a mirror. There are none in my rooms.
oh.
Some say that shows I'm a vampire. How can that be? And the 3rd best pure mathematician in Europe. A vampire would have chopped his way to the top. What you are remains to be revealed.
I know very little.
Well, I hate war, politicians, and this beastly climate. I love cats. I hate dogs, watches, and fountain pens. This is the longest introduction I've ever given. You know everything about me. We can get straight to work on mathematics.
May I ask a favor?
Certainly.
I would like to remove my collar. It's choking me.
By all means, I should have seen that. I'll go and supervise the luggage.
Trinity College man,
Inventor of the calculus.
I'm not a bad physicist.
Yes, that too.
And if you had famous literary chaps, whatever that might be worth.
Who?
Well, Byron, Tennyson. Benson, Thackeray. You needn't remember those names.
I've read them all.
Really? Why?
In school, I won many volumes of English for my scores in mathematics. Before I was expelled for doing nothing but mathematics.
Yes, but why read them? I mean, why read former students of this college?
Well, they grew older, thoughts matured.
Have you met our students? They're permanently stunted. The classics, Ramanujan. That's what you should have read.
May I ask you to clarify something for me?
Of course.
In my letter to Hardy, I asked to be Patroclus to his Achilles. Of whom was I speaking?
Of whom?
I had assistance in the letter.
A great warrior and his friend, from the Iliad of Homer.
Thank you. I did not study enough Greek.
Students don't want to study Greek anymore. I predict that by the end of the 20th century, a literary education will consist entirely of Latin.
Hardy laughed. Told me he laughed at being compared to Achilles. I was told that he would be flattered.
Harold wouldn't be flattered if you compared him to Zeus.
I was embarrassed.
Now I understand.
Did he say anything about me? Do you?
No, of course not. Harold doesn't expect you to present yourself with English restraint. He's not a fool, and he's not vicious.
He's a wonderful man to bring me here. I can never repay him, but he's a strange man. By English standards as well.
Oh, by any standards. I say, you don't think we consider him normal.
Well, I'm glad.
You must dine with us at high table. You'll see him in his expansive mood.
I can't dine at high table, there is meat.
A kitchen can supply vegetable dishes. I dare say they'll enjoy the challenge of drying and hardening them as thoroughly as the chicken.
I can't appear at high table in slippers.
That is true.
I can't become accustomed to Western shoes.
In due time. But meanwhile, you're eating alone in your rooms. Permit me to remark that that is somewhat disquieting.
I'll be fine.
Do you know any of your countrymen in England?
Someone I know is here.
Oh, that's good.
Billington, do not feel sympathy for me.
It isn't pleasant to be alone.
Do you know the result of multiplying 0 by infinity?
I believe there is no result.
0 is absolute reality. Infinity is the endless manifestations of that reality. When you multiply them, you produce not one number, but all numbers, each of which corresponds to an individual act of creation.
Well,
So how can you think I'm ever alone when I'm surrounded by numbers?
have you told that to Harold?
No, he's an atheist.
It will help him know you.
I told it to you.
Me? Oh, thank you.
By now you have had the opportunity to study a small portion of the hundreds of pages of theorems first sent to me from India by Ramanujan. I would like you to try to reconstruct the immediate reaction of an ordinary professional mathematician who receives a manuscript like this from an unknown Hindu clerk. Most of the formulae are both difficult and deep. They must be true, because if they were not true, no one would have had the imagination to invent them. How did he arrive at them? We cannot know. How did he arrive at his curiously skimpy method of presenting them? Here we may conjecture. It was the most unlikely book that, at age 16, first aroused his full It contains the enunciation of 6,165 theorems with proofs which are often little more than cross-references. All this is exaggerated in Ramanujan's manuscript. He simply acquired no adequate sense either of the nature of proof or its necessity. In many parts of his work, his intuition carries the day, but in other parts, his ignorance of method has proved fatal. So the task is clear. We cannot allow him to continue to work solely by hit or miss intuition. We must instill a sense of rigor to allow him steady, cumulative progress. Log N?
Log N.
You sure?
Yes,
Why? Are you sure?
it's true.
State it completely.
The number of prime factors in an integer n is approximately the logarithm of n. The approximation becomes closer as n increases.
I'd like to believe it because it deserves to be true. Log N is compact, spare, even funny.
Yes, it is.
How did you arrive at it?
How?
How?
The usual way, thinking.
How?
I tested it on many numbers.
Where did it come from?
It came. Afterward, I tested it.
Forget afterwards. It's before that matters.
But it is true.
Can you prove that?
Can I? Wow.
I was in a cab today. Its number was 153. Can you tell me anything interesting about it?
Yes. It's the sum of the cubes of its digits. 1 cube plus 5 cube plus 3 cube equals 153.
That's right. I happened to see that in a book of arithmetical trivia. How do you know it?
I am familiar with many positive integers.
There are only 5 such numbers possible.
I know there are 5.
There are only 5 possible.
There happen to be 5.
There don't happen to be. There can't be any more.
How do you know?
It can be proved
How?
easily.
I'm sorry.
There's nothing to be sorry about.
I seem to be imposing on you.
You're nothing to be sorry about. You are here to learn. Now don't be absurd. Log N is beautiful. I'll prove it if I can. But only if you could have come up with it.
Then what must you do?
Ramanujan, listen. Ideas are made out of other ideas. They are derived.
They are derived.
Mathematical ideas are true because other mathematical ideas are true.
They are true because they are true. You discovered them.
You deduce them. You prove them. Mathematics isn't religion.
Is that true?
Yes?
Then from what did you deduce it?
You can't wriggle out of this, Ramanujan. This is European mathematics. What you came here to learn.
This was not in Carr's book.
Carr presented results. He didn't show the process. He was preparing students for examination.
No. Then Carr was not a mathematician.
For our purposes, no.
Then what I am doing is not.
Yes, it is. It's superb mathematics. It only needs rigor.
Do you mean that?
Log N is Hobbes' class.
Hobbes? Oh, yes, the cricket player. Forgive me, my mind is whirling.
Shall we get to work?
If you think I can be...
Yes, you can.
I never knew that mathematics is supposed to be difficult.
It is the early 1900s. I have been dead for 2.5 centuries. They have been amongst my most enjoyable years. I've seen my star ascend as all of the theorems I left behind were proved. All save one, that is. The theorem I scribbled in the margin of the book. My pet little teaser, whose proof I coyly tore to pieces. It is now called Fermat's last theorem. Who remembers any of Descartes' theorems? Let me explain it to you as simply as possible. Do you recall the Pythagorean theorem for the sides of a right triangle? A squared plus B squared equals C squared. My theorem simply says that squared is the limit. A cubed plus B cubed equals C cubed. No. If you want A, B, and C to be whole numbers, as you should. Now, A to the fourth plus B to the fourth equals C to the fourth. What do you think? Of course not. And so on and so on. A to the power n plus B to the power n does not equal C to the power n when n is greater than 2. Does anyone not follow this? Or do not be embarrassed. In the 18th century, the great Leonard Euler proved it for n equals 3. A proof for n equals 4 was found by some forgotten hero. Then in the age of Napoleon, the French woman Sophie Germain pretended to be a man so she could study my theorem. Her exertions led her to a proof for n equals 5. By 1839, it was proved for n equals 7. At century's end, a German businessman was about to commit suicide over unrequited love. Just before he pulled the trigger, he discovered a flaw in someone's work on my theorem. He decided not to die, but to devote his life to finding a proof. Of course, he failed. The fool had spared his life to no purpose. And he died. He put up a prize of 100,000 marks to anyone who could prove it. Madness swept Europe over my little theorem. Every submitted proof was invalid.
They disguise him as a woman. He's one of their classmates. He's called Lord Babati, and they say he's the aunt from Brazil. And he's going to be the chaperone. Brazil, where the nuts come from. And he's wearing a gown and a lace cap and a shawl, and he has curls. And he smokes a cigar in a way no one has seen. The actors are so funny. He climbs the garden fence and says, "I am no ordinary woman." And then do you know what happens?
The real aunt from Brazil turns up.
Very good, Adi. But it becomes so complicated, it's so wonderful. You must see it.
That's right.
It was the best thing about my trip. Best thing. In Wellington, I went to London and saw Charlie's aunt.
Good God.
Come on, you must admit it's funny.
So I've heard. To me, all English plays sound the same. Are you ready?
I won't be going to high table, Alfred. We have some proofs to discuss.
Then permit me to leave immediately.
Wellington, I'd like you to stay.
To what purpose?
I've been working on something new.
Something new? We were to discuss your understanding of the concept of proof.
This is why you should stay, Wellington.
Yes, I see.
Please, Hardy, don't become angry if you postpone the topic of proof. I have been working on a partition theory.
What's the point if you can't prove it?
Harry, concerned, I'm not a donkey.
That gives us 3 different ways of adding up integers to get 3. These are partitions. The number of partitions of 3 is 3.
I'm ready for the climax.
The number of partitions of 50 is 204,226.
Yes.
So the big question is there a formula that yields the number of partitions for any number? It's been worked on for centuries.
And you found it?
No, but I decided to attack with Cauchy's theorem.
What? Cauchy's theorem is for continuous quantities. These are discrete. Why would you...
Gentlemen.
Alfred, it's as if you were to take a Roman subject matter and render it in English iambics. You wouldn't end up with anything Roman. You'd produce Julius Caesar. Don't you see how absurd? Good God, man, it's brilliant.
I congratulate you. Notwithstanding the dubious use of Shakespeare as a standard of achievement.
Thank you. I am excited.
It's brilliant if you applied Cauchy correctly.
Yes, I'd like you to examine.
Ramanujan, why do you suppose I asked you to master proof?
Because proof is essential.
Why did I ask you to master it?
Why?
Because some of your most cherished theorems are wrong.
Wrong?
I disproved them.
Harold, is this the time?
It took a ridiculous amount of effort, but once I started, I couldn't stop. Just like you.
That was your early work.
Not entirely. Ramanujan, you cannot offer the world your errors.
That's why I want you to examine.
No, you cannot be half a mathematician.
Then you will not work with me.
I will not do the work you should be learning to do, must learn to do.
Harold, I've forgotten the number of partitions of 50.
Let us hope you applied Cauchy correctly.
Perhaps I did not. And perhaps I did. And perhaps this is better mathematics than you have ever done.
Oh, rubbish!
I apologize.
Because you didn't say anything bad.
I insulted his mathematics.
I do that all the time.
You're his friend.
Then you must be too.
It's different coming from you. You don't know what you're talking about. I did not mean that.
Ramanujan, I assure you he's forgotten.
He's avoiding me.
No, he has other things on his mind. He may not have as much time for you as he would like.
This is the second time I've heard that phrase.
Ramanujan, the war is expanding across the globe.
The war.
Harold is a pacifist and not very popular here. What with all the young chaps eager to march away and the old chaps eager to send them. Many a snub, many a tense moment at high table.
I see.
He's been cut off from the work of the German mathematicians and he's taken a major personal risk. He's supporting a junior fellow dismissed for anti-war agitation. You may have met him, Bertrand Russell. An exhausting talker at high table, now talking on street corners.
Poor man. Poor Hardy.
At least Harold's eccentricity is finally in the service of principle.
Is there anything I can do?
You can refrain from startling him with an apology.
Oh, congratulations, Hardy.
Yes?
I hear you have taken a stand for peace. That's admirable. It's a Hobbes-class moral decision.
Thank you, Ramanujan.
I'm sorry you're fighting a little war of your own here.
Thank you again. I'm also working on the partition theorem, although not as much as I'd like. I believe you chose the right path.
I don't want to put any burden on you.
My main burden is my fellow professors and their delight in slaughter.
Is there any way I can be of help?
You can help me understand what causes war.
I don't know.
I think religion is at the bottom of all wars. Do you agree?
I can't say.
Harold, I'm eager to know what path you took with those partitions.
Take this war, the Great War. They say it was caused by the assassination of an archduke, but it has roots in centuries of religion is true? Or do you observe out of habit? Would you fight for your religion?
Harold, stop!
I believe that all religions are more or less equally true.
And there's nothing special about Hinduism?
No.
No particular gods you believe in?
No. I observe out of habit only.
I thought so. I knew you were intelligent as well as brilliant. You made me feel better.
I'm glad. Not leave.
I
Please do
told
not.
you it might happen.
Listen to me.
You will be fine. Here is fuel for your stove.
I have to say, Hardy is my host. I cannot be disrespectful.
I understand.
Then why leave?
I must.
He's ostracized by his colleagues. It's my duty to support him.
That is true.
I made a flippant comment about his mathematics. Denying you was a way of apologizing. Nothing more.
Do not torture yourself. Hardy is a bully.
He is frightened.
He's not alone.
Do not be cryptic.
As you wish.
If I did not offend you, why are you leaving?
Can you stop thinking about yourself? Madras has been shelled.
Madras?
The Emden, a German cruiser, appeared in the Indian Ocean. It sank ships and then attacked the harbor.
My family.
They were inland. Oil tanks burned and people fled. The most terrified are flocking to my shrine.
You must return.
My priests have not slept this week.
Yes, you have explained enough.
I can still visit you when you dream. But I worry about your waking hours.
Do not. You do not have to ferry me equations at night.
You forget that your glory is my glory.
You come here acting like a stranger.
I'm embarrassed.
Why?
I'm embarrassed because my new theorems are no good.
Did Harold tell you that?
No, that's the point. He has not said anything about the last 3 boxes I sent him. He must be sparing my feelings.
Harold? I don't think sensitivity is a strong suit.
What other explanation? It can't be only the war.
You're right. I'm afraid he's reluctant to open your boxes.
Why? Have I offended him?
Of course not. You're too much for him.
Impossible.
Predictable.
How can I make him open the boxes?
You can't. You can only give him time to come to his senses.
There's no time. I keep moving ahead, right or wrong. If I am wrong, he must stop me now.
You know, he's nominated you to be a fellow of the Royal Society.
Is that true? It's a great honor.
Don't let it buy you off. Tell me, Ramanujan, shall we see you soon at high table? You're mastering Western shoes.
On my trip to London, I was told something.
Yes?
Potatoes here are fried in lard.
Animal fat.
Yes,
Well, is everything else all right?
yes.
I'm sure Cambridge is much colder than Madras. Are you keeping warm, Ramanujan?
I keep a fire in my room.
You take care of yourself.
He threw himself in front of a train, Wellington.
What?
He thought he brought on a German air raid by drinking Ovaltine.
What?
There's something animal about it.
Where is he?
Back in his room. He was elected to the Royal Society just in time to escape prison.
This is horrifying, but not surprising.
I didn't know matters were this bad.
Harold, last week he came by and chanted a hymn to me. To me.
What can I do? I'm not a psychiatrist.
Don't you see how lonely he is?
We could send him back to India for a while.
You take it as a failure and rejection.
And the Germans might sink him.
That would only finish what we started.
Let's look at this dispassionately.
Can we?
His mathematics needs focus, direction.
His mathematics.
He needs an absorbing project that will take his mind off himself. Something that he knows I consider of the greatest importance.
That might be some help. He lives to please you.
Ah, of course. I know what will save him.
Yes?
I brought you a book. It's about the Holy Grail. It's about the pursuit of the Holy Grail.
The what?
The pursuit of the Holy Grail. The greatest unsolved problem in the history of mathematics. Fermat's last theorem.
I did not see it in Carr's textbook.
It's not something that appears on quizzes.
What is it?
It's simple to state.
He was studying Diophantine equation.
That's right.
It does not look like the greatest problem in the history of anything.
It's never been proved.
I thought proofs were difficult only for me.
The greatest minds in Europe have torn themselves to pieces over this.
And you want me to learn about proof from their mistakes, yes?
I want you to prove it.
Prove it? How can I?
Because you're not European. Because your thinking is unconventional. Because you take intuitive leaps.
Those are advantages.
Because when you're chosen to pursue the Holy Grail, you do it. What else were you born for? Why did fate bring you here from India?
Now you're dizzying me.
A proof would bring ultimate honor to you.
And to her.
I beg your pardon?
This Holy Grail will make amends for what I have put you through?
Seeing it encased here at Cambridge? I should think so.
Hear me once again, goddess Namagiri of Namakkal, consort of Narasimha, patron of poor Ramanujan. This time, I did not walk 100 miles to your shrine. I admit that. But you must admit you have no shrines in the English countryside. Therefore, I have constructed my own shrine to you in this room, out of old mathematical papers. This time, we must pursue the greatest glory possible to man and God. The greatest glory possible is to prove Fermat's last theorem.
You are like a child.
All right, I'll be patient.
You demand immediate answers. You must relax and give me time for research.
I am asleep. How much more relaxed can I be?
My congratulations that you're feeling better.
Yes, I am better. I will not repeat what I did at the train station.
Be careful of your health.
You have nothing for me but congratulations and warnings.
I have news that your parents and wife are well.
Thank you. May I ask you, my wife never answers my letters. Is she receiving them?
Your mother intercepts them.
No!
I know this is a highly unusual request, Monsieur Fermat,
Extremely.
but I'm desperate.
No other mathematician has ever had a divine advocate.
He is like no other mathematician.
It would be amusing to whisper a proof from ghost to goddess to exhausted. There is a recipe for a Garfield theorem.
Ramanujan is so much like you, Monsieur Fermat. Intuitive, a perfectionist, an inspired amateur.
Are you suggesting that I have been reincarnated? Wouldn't I be aware of that? Dr. like me.
Mock me if you will, cruel monsieur. I still plead with you for his life.
I haven't heard that line since the French Revolution.
Sir,
My dear goddess, forgive me. I have no wish to mock you. You are an elegant and charming deity, and your consort commands respect as a half-lion. But I simply cannot help it.
but you have defeated the greatest European mathematicians. It will not diminish your glory if a badly educated savage proves your theorem. Who else would you want to prove it?
I agree it would deck my name with more mythic wonder. But when I say I cannot help you, I am speaking the literal, painful truth.
What does that mean?
It means, fairest divinity, that I cannot remember my original truth.
What?
So I cannot be certain that I ever had a proof. I remember being in rapture in the 17th century, when everything fell into place and I knew I had it. But unfortunately, that is all I remember.
You cannot repeat the process?
When the fire dies, ma chérie, what is left but ashes?
The theorem is then untrue?
Not at all. It may very well be perfectly valid. We simply don't know.
What will I tell him?
Don't tell him you pleaded with me. If he is truly like me, he will be furious.
I'm sorry for you, Monsieur Fermat. He told me it was a very beautiful theorem.
The rose may turn out to be imaginary, but the thorns have been real, and I've enjoyed their own special beauty as they made mathematicians scream with pain. As I enjoy your own special thornless beauty.
You speak very differently from the English,
Oh,
Monsieur.
please do not be offended.
I'm not. But you should know that I do not find foreign mathematicians attractive.
Back to reality then. Please promise me one thing. You are the only one who knows that I'm not sure I had a proof. I must ask that you tell no.
I cannot promise that. I'm sorry, Monsieur. Listen, Ramanujan. Please try to dream. The Holy Grail may be a vision of nothing. Dream so I can tell you. Listen, you can end the quest. You can eat and sleep like a normal. Are you? Your mouth is full of blood.
Yes,
You wrote a book called Inequalities.
precisely.
That's moronic.
Alfred,
I thought the point of mathematics was to show that things are equal.
generally,
What's the point of showing that things are not equal? We can usually assume that.
can you discuss this calmly?
I don't think so. You create a wreckage of Greek letters and Arabic numerals and then tell us it doesn't equal some other wreckage. When neither does it equal spinach or gold dust or a sick Hindu.
What happened to him?
You working him to death, Harold. He was coughing up blood.
Oh, God.
Do you know what he told them he eats? Rice with salt and lemon juice. That's it. Since he ran out of tinned food. He has pains in his stomach and legs, his weight is down, he's always cold, he never exercises or sees the sun. Oh, you like the next part. He works. He pursues the Holy Grail, day and night, round the clock, for you, Harold.
That's enough, Alfred.
You set him to work to prove some equation is not true. That's what the theorem is about, isn't it? What a waste of a man's life.
Are you finally done?
No.
Alfred, he tried to kill himself. I tried to give him purpose.
A slow death for a quick one.
Good God, man. Will
number.
What?
Did you come here in a cab?
Yes.
What was its number?
How should I know?
Of course you know.
It was 1729. Rather a dull number.
No, Hardy. It's very interesting. It's the smallest number expressible as the sum of two cubes in two different ways.
Ramanujan, do you want to get well?
Yes. Yes.
Then you have to rest. You have to shut down your brain.
I cannot do that.
You must.
Poincaré applied to Fermat.
Wait a minute. Didn't someone try that in the Ukraine in 1908?
But he overlooked something.
No more, Ramanujan. I cannot be tempted.
Hardy, can you really not see this from my point of view? You brought me here. I'm trying to repay your faith and kindness.
You've done that.
Europeans do not understand how to accept graciously. In Madras, I once made potato soup for 2 English women. When I offered them a second portion, they accepted. When I offered them a third, they declined.
They were no longer hungry.
That's irrelevant. No, I am telling you that Poincaré's theorem of modular forms can be applied to Fermat's last theorem with surprising results.
And if I ignore you?
I will still work, as long as I am able. You of all people should know. You cannot save me from mathematics.
All that's possible now is the glory. His recovery.
No longer working like a maniac. Well, I suppose he can't in hospital.
It would be difficult. So I suppose he's no longer working like that.
I hope he didn't simply hide it from you. He could be secretly toiling.
He hid nothing from me.
Good. Rest and a tranquil mind can do wonders.
Alfred,
What?
he has been working a little.
Oh, no!
He may be onto something. Of course, it may be another dead end.
Wait.
But it's fascinating mathematics.
Wait! What are you saying?
Maybe we'll crack the theorem or lay the groundwork for someone else.
We? Are you encouraging him?
Alfred, we sat on the laboratory floor and did equations.
I don't believe this.
I can't stop him.
You can't stop yourself.
It would be much worse for him if I abandoned him.
I see. He's trying to die, so you want to comfort him with your approval.
No, I owe him acceptance of who he is.
I have brought you many new equations. They are about the mock theta function. They are first rate, and you would be very excited.
You mean the false theta function?
No, the mock theta function.
Then I am interested.
Good.
Will you write the equations on my tongue, or shall I just go through the papers?
There is a condition.
Ah,
You must stop working on Fermat.
I see.
You can gain great glory mastering the mock thetas.
I would love to see them.
Well, then,
I live without them.
Where are we?
we are in his dream.
This is really.
For someone who has been a ghost since 1665, you're easily spooked.
The barbs on your tongue make you even lonelier tonight.
Ramanujan, may I present the actual and original Fermat?
Bring anyone you want. It will not help.
Charmed, I'm sure.
Tell him the truth,
And what is the truth?
that you were doodling in the margin, and there is nothing to prove. It was a huge joke.
Is that the truth?
It seems so to me.
Monsieur Ramanujan, I will not waste your time saying that I may not have proved my last theorem. Because you know, that means nothing. Nor will I waste your time warning that you will plunge into a self-destructive frenzy, because that is the theorem's chief appeal. I could say I was simply doodling in the margin, but my hollow voice and my evasive eyes would give me. So I really do not know what to think. I would greatly love to please this adorable creature, but I haven't the faintest idea how. The dilemma of all men, yes. Do not be downcast. Here we are, a goddess and a spirit gliding through a dream.
Do you want to die trying to be him?
The goddess at the point. We are different, Ramanujan, and it can hardly be your destiny to complete mine. You might do well to listen to her. I understand you already made some progress applying Poincaré. You will have a chapter in any eventual coup. So why not step aside and let the next mathematician in line die early?
Mr. Fairman, would you like to work with me?
What?
No!
It is impossible for the dead man.
But you wish you could. I saw this spark in your eye.
Perhaps.
Then do not tell me to give up.
Come here, Ferma. You are Ramanujan's god, so you should look like a god.
Namagiri!
One is dead long enough, one sees everything.
I avoid touching people. I'm sure you've noticed. I'll watch for the post.
Hardy, I must say farewell too.
Yes, of course.
Please tell me, was my work any good?
Any good?
Yes. Tell me.
This is your farewell?
Yes, tell me.
It was more than good, and you know that.
You have done so much for me. I do not wish to sound the least bit unsatisfied. You gave me all you could. Goodbye, Harold. Harold, whatever happens, do not be sorry.
I've finally completed Ramanujan's partition theorem. It's capital. It's Bradman class. I said Bradman class.
I heard you.
He's a new batsman, even better than Hobbs.
Fancy that.
He's the new standard. Where have you been this term?
Is he? You know. Sentimental idea of this?
What?
That you and I could go on as before?
Oh, I thought we were still on Bradman.
Oh, really? Is he still working for you?
He sent quite a thick folder.
More Ferma.
Yes.
You weren't going to tell me, were you?
I was coming around to it. Poincaré looks like another dead end. He keeps trying new tacks. These equations are quite riskless.
Handwriting faint, irregular.
There's a letter to... I am with my wife Janaki, who is now 19. I like to watch her oil her hair, wash it, shake it out, and let it dry in the sun.
Thank God.
He says
Yes.
that he's sorry for the little incident at the end of our last meeting, but he's not apologizing for it.
What incident?
It's not important. He
calculations for you, then he's at the point.
It's from India. Pretty thin. The writing. A different hand. Will you excuse me?
It's obvious what it says.
Yes, it was obvious. He did. Thank you for the quiet.
He died believing he was not a mathematician.
After he died, I found this notebook in his house in Madras. It is from the early days when the equations tumbled out.
These pages, so impassioned and so meaningless.
His life's work.
Once, when my children were young, I looked at their toy animals. I realized that if something happened to my children, their toys would die with them. He had given them personalities, which they would lose instantly. Stella, the scrappy fox, Morris, the wise old monkey, would become mere objects. That's all these equations are without him.
Hardy can breathe life into these equations.
Meaning, yes. Life, no.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is once more a pleasure to address the London Mathematical Society. Actually, it's a pleasure to be able to address anyone. Most of you know I recently took an unjustified liberty with my health. I swallowed a few too many pills, but my stomach, which hadn't been consulted, showed its resentment by sending them right back up. I ended with an embarrassing black eye when I banged my head on the lavatory basin. My friend, Professor Alfred Billington, happened to come by my rooms and took me to receive medical attention. I am confident that there shall be no such incidents in the future. Nonetheless, I am prepared to take a certain further step, which I am persuaded will help my recovery, and about which I am sure you will hear. The topic of this lecture, as announced before my incident, is Ramanujan. But I scarcely know how to begin. It's nearly impossible for me to form a reasoned estimate of the most romantic figure in the recent history of mathematics. Ramanujan found a very great number of exceedingly beautiful theorems. Every integer was his personal friend, but inevitably a large part of his work merely repeated earlier discoveries, and a smaller part was incorrect. He had been carrying an impossible handicap, a poor and solitary Hindu, pitting his brains against the accumulated wisdom of Europe. He would probably have been a greater mathematician if he could have been caught and tamed a little in his youth. On the other hand, he would have been more of a European professor and less of a Ramanujan. I'm sure he was not a mystic and that religion played no important part in his life. His vegetarianism was of course a form of observance, but Hinduism is a religion of observance in which belief counts for extremely little. It is true that his Indian friends write that Ramanujan was a devout Brahmin who said the goddess of Namakal inspired him with formulas and dreams. But I remember well his telling me that all religions seem equally true and that there were no particular gods he believed in. Which of us is right? His friends or I? I'm quite certain that I am. Just this morning, I asked Professor Billington if he believed in this alleged participation of the goddess of Namakal. Uncharacteristically, he quoted Shakespeare at me. There are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in your philosophy. But then he lapsed into silence, and I realized he had made a joke. I wish I could satisfy better your curiosity about Ramanujan's working methods. I'm sorry I never cross-examined him, but I did not know during our heyday that he was going to die. At the risk of disappointing, that is all that I can say about Ramanujan. I owe him more than to anyone else in the world, and our association is the one romantic idea in my life.
Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Narasimha, Dr. Ira Hauptman, Mr. Anandmurthy. The Little Theatre Hyderabad is really very grateful to the National Institute of Advanced Studies and to Professor Narasimha for giving us this opportunity to read to such a distinguished audience as this. We've enjoyed presenting this, what is perhaps the All India premiere of the play Partition by Ira Hauptman. I hope you enjoyed the reading. It is now my pleasure to introduce our readers to you. Dr. Vittal Rajan read Srinivasa Ramanujan. Dr. Vittal Rajan is the chair of the Confederation of Voluntary Associations and of the Dalit Bahujan Cooperatives Federation, Andhra Pradesh. He advises the government of Andhra Pradesh on development. He has instituted a scholarship in pure mathematics at the Ramanujan Institute in Madras in memory of his father, the late Mr. S. Rajan, ICS. Dr. Vittal Rajan has edited the script for this reading and has directed it. Big hand for him. Air Vice Marshal Cecil Parker, a flying ace, an Air Force veteran, decorated with the Mahavir Chakra. He's a creative writer whose pieces have appeared in several newspapers and magazines. He lives in Hyderabad and is a regular reader with the Little Theatre. He read Professor Hardy. Sarala Mahidhara is head of Department of English in a college affiliated to Osmania University in Hyderabad. Sarala is a regular participant in our readings and has read here at Niyaz, maybe a couple of times before. She read Namagiri of Namak. Ranjan Ranganathan is an architect and an interior designer theatre veteran, and interestingly, his great-grandfather, Rao Bahadur P.V. Seshu Iyer, President of the Indian Mathematical Conference, was a teacher and a benefactor of Srinivasa Ramanujan's. Ranjan read the fictional character of Professor Billington, a professor of classics at Cambridge University. I, Shankar Melkote, I read the ghost of Pierre de Fermat. Thank you very much.
Not to speak